uh, by saying queso. So, queso. Okay, so here we go. If I minimize that, I'm going to open up Maya. There are a lot of ways to do fluid simulation. In industry, one of the more popular options is a program called Houdini. Houdini is wonderful for doing particles, effects, fire, smoke, water, and real fluid dynamics. Maya has some great tools as well, and especially for some of the simple stuff that you guys are going to be working on, you can add some interest by adding a little bit of fluid. So what I want to start out with today is just a simple ocean shader. A lot of you have seen it. I'm going to drag out this plane. That's all it is. It's just a plane, just a flat surface. I'm going to open up my Hypershade hierarchy, and right here you see a shader that is called Ocean Shader. Ocean Shader I've used for a long time. Especially for the temple assignment. You just throw out the ocean shader and it makes it look like you've got a little ocean right in front of your building. So you assign the material as you would assign any other material. You highlight your object, right click, and hit Assign Material to Selection. When I take a picture, this is what the ocean looks like. It's a nice calm sea. You can see some direction in the waves. But with just a few minor tweaks, minor adjustments, by going into the attributes editor of the ocean shader, I can come in and I can start tweaking just a few things and start getting the waves to look taller and a little different. So right here I have wave height. As it stands right now, if you can visualize this as kind of the wave, if you adjust this little tool right here, and you can start getting a little more interest. Now, as you understand shaders, as you understand dynamics, each one of these attributes are going to make more sense to you. They're going to be better defined, and it'll work out better. In the meantime, until you understand what each one of these is telling you, you can just grab some values and play around. Sometimes the best way to learn something is to just break it, mess it up, and trial and error. These are digital waves, so we're not going to flood anybody's home by playing around with them. We're just going to take some pictures. So I take a picture, and you see that just adjusting that this little value right here, my waves have started to have a little more diversity, a little more interest. Continuing on, turbulence, I can make my waves a little shakier by adding to these little values. Now you can see that when I do that, it doesn't really look like it's changing that much. And that's part of the issue, is you just have to go in and just play. I'm going to increase my foam emission. Whoa, not the threshold though. Pull it out, and now we've got a foamy ocean.
Very foamy.
Now right now, it may not look like this is doing much, but in reality, if I do a quick little fake render here, where I do where I render out a series of images. Instead of doing a batch render today, I'm just going to save a handful of images and run you through them. So right now I've got 3, and as I run through those 3 images, you can start to see that the waves are moving and changing. If I run through a simulation over here, you see it a little bit, but you're not really going to get a chance to see what it actually looks like until you render it out. And that's one of the downsides of learning some of these different tools, is with a lot of them you're going to have to play and then spend a lot of time rendering. When you get to be a professional, you'll know what each one of these boxes do. You'll know what each one of these boxes is supposed to do, and as such, you'll be able to to be able to get the exact attributes you want and do one render instead of several test renders. In this ocean shader, you can actually come into the watercolor, and I can make the foam color black, or I guess kind of a gray, and take a picture, and now I have more of a bloody ocean, right? I'm in the nether. If I take the incandescence and I give it a little bit of a yellow hue, and let's turn it down a little bit. Now I've started to make what looks like lava, and really this is all I've done is I've gone through and just added a few little points here and there and played around to get it to look like this. I want to try to go back to the blue because I'm not trying to be the devil here.
Aww.
I know. Yeah, and that's not even the right color of water. The water's more of a light blue, yeah. So, and you know what? If I don't like this, hey, no big deal. Let me pull out another ocean shader, reassign the material. Now I've got the default ocean shader back. I can come in and adjust the wave speed, so at how fast they move up and down. I can give it a little more wind. Let me do like a value of 3 and a value of 3. Maybe turn the scale up a little bit. Take a picture. Okay, come into wave height and play around there. Come to wave turbulence. Let's see what I can do there. Now this is all built right into the software Maya, right into this shader. But something else that's really cool that you can do using Maya and using some of these ocean shaders, you can start to pull out some examples until you learn it better. Some examples are found if you go to the Dynamics tab. Under the Fluid Effects, you can create a ocean or a pond. I'm going to create a pond, and we're going to make some buoys just because they're fun. So here we have a pond. I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Pond. Pulls out, for all intents and purposes, a little tiny square pond. You take a picture, it doesn't look like much. However, I can pull out a sphere, go into Fluid Effects, go into Pond, and create and make the selected object float. I'm not going to do a buoy right now. I'm just going to float the selected object. So I give that, I make that object so that it can float, and it gives it gravity. Let me increase my simulation time just a little bit. And there we go. It fell from a different height, and now it is floating. So let me pause it right there, and let's take a look at our render and see what the surface of our pond looks like. Not quite all that interesting. All right, so there it's floating and didn't quite give us the ripple effect that I was going for. However, I believe if we go into the pond and hit Create Wake, when the ball falls, it's going to create a splash effect. And when you take a picture of it, it's got these really cool little ripples. This is all, what's really nice about this is just something that Maya has given us to play with. So you could have a guy jumping off the high dive and making ripples and give a chance to float. If you want, you can come in, and I'm going to create an ocean example. We're going to go to Fluid Examples, Ocean, Create Ocean. Okay, gives us a little bit bigger of a surface to work with. Unlike the little plane that I pulled out, it's extended the ocean out beyond our ability to see it. So we should have a nice horizon line on this that gives us this nice round look, so that if I was on a cruise ship looking out over the ocean, I'd have this nice curvature of the earth showing. Same with the ocean. The ocean example just gives us this ocean shader again. You look at it, and we've got some attributes here, but you look at the wave height and wave turbulence, wave peaking. These are all the same things that we saw in our ocean shader, and in fact, it's called Ocean Shader 3. So in the ocean attributes, I can increase the number of frequency, I can increase the wave speed, I can increase the observer speed. I don't know what observer speed does, but it sounds like fun. A wavelength max, that's how tall the wave is going to be. Wavelength minimum, that's going to give me another value. I'm going to run the simulation a little bit, render it out, and take a look. Now, I can't really tell anything from there. Let me zoom in a little and see. Okay, being zoomed in a little, you can kind of see that it's a little wavier. I think maybe I need to make some adjustments here. Let's add some turbulence to make it so that the waves aren't as smooth. Take a picture. Yeah, it still feels a little flat to me. Let's adjust the wave peaking, wave height offset. That'll help a little bit. Oh, shoot. Where's the foam?
Adding foam always helps.
Foam helps for sure. And again, right now I'm not even showing an understanding of each one of these attributes. But if you learn what each attribute does, you'll be able to work it a little more solidly. And I'm trying to turn the foam on, but not make it too terribly insane. And that actually starts to look a little bit better. You've got a little bit of a white cap there. And again, you're not really going to get the full effect of it until you render out a bunch of images. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is to render out a handful of images so that you can get the sense of how this wave will actually look. Because looking at a single picture of the ocean doesn't give you a sense of magnitude. It doesn't give you a sense of the grandeur of the waves. Okay, so there we go. I've taken 4 or 5 photos there. Oh, and apparently I kept a bunch. You can see that the waves are just going to roll across the sea. Okay, here in the fluid effects, in the ocean examples, I can create I'm going to add a dynamic buoy. And when I play it, it's going to act as a buoy would act in the ocean. The great thing about adding a dynamic buoy is this shape that they've used. They've just pulled out a NURB sphere. It's not anything special. But if you design a buoy, if you design a boat, if you design something you want to float, you would just select the object, come into Fluid Effects, come into Ocean, and add a dynamic buoy, and it will add the buoy on there.
Well,
so.
Make boats.
So as you run the simulation, you can see that that you get some kind of a cool little look. Obviously, a sphere isn't all that interesting, so creating your own boat, creating your own buoy is going to add a lot more interest than a plain old sphere. But for Special Effects Friday, that's going to do it. And so get out there and play around a little bit.